For the people that are really watching what you're doing from our private group that talks about health information that is now becoming illegal to share and stuff like that, and they're using it in their own lives. Some of them are torn between keeping things peaceful and harmonious and the kind of a beautiful image of a life in line with nature versus going into these horrible political environments where there's other motivations in play, as you may have noticed, and people aren't all nice to each other and trying to work for the benefit of humanity and everything. Mm-hmm. But I think what you've come to is that, don't lose touch with this beautiful, ideal image that you want to live and have your identity and your life connected to, but be willing to go into the other environment and I will interact with these people.
Yeah, my advice to people on that front is find what you feel comfortable with and what you are best at. So there are people that I know that come to the Capitol and they're like, I can't do this. It's so toxic. It takes me days to detox from that building. Okay. And there are other people that thrive and want to be there and want to share their story and are good at that. Okay. The people who are not good at being with politicians or they just see the corruption and they're like, oh my God, I just cannot deal with that. For them, there are other things that they can be doing. So the other piece of this movement is educating the masses. So, it was interesting. I was giving there was a group talk kind of thing. It was interactive. But there was one mom there with a very, very small kid. And she said, I had asked them to introduce themselves first and just give a bit about like what landed them in the room that day. And she said, I was in Whole Foods and I was pregnant. And this woman came up to me and said, please research vaccines before you give any to your child. And she said, that's why I'm here. I didn't know anything about vaccines. And if she hadn't have come up to me, I would have just gone, to my pediatrician and they would have said, here you go. And I would have just done that. Wow. And there are people that can do that. I'm that Whole Foods lady, whoever she was, like, keep on going. Like you're making a difference. And so, and it's funny because I take Uber now everywhere. And even if I'm going on different business or for pleasure, they're like, so what are you doing here? I just, this health issue. And, I keep it very broad, but then I'm like, the flu vaccine, and that most of them are like, oh yeah, I had the flu vaccine once. I got so sick. Yeah. They're just sharing information. And it can be, people also have issues with their friends and family. And they're like, I talk about vaccines and I'm like excommunicated from my family and from friends. And I can't do that anymore. I need my friends as support people. Again, strangers are great. So, I think you have to find where you're comfortable. I think my request is that you don't live under a rock anymore. Not that, I think I lived under a rock. I was very much before 277. The only people that knew my kids weren't vaccinated was me, my ex, my kids, and my pediatrician. Oh, and the school, because they had a personal belief exemption, but they didn't really care. Now there's to me, it's like I have to speak out. And I found the niche that I like and that I feel like I have an impact is the political side. I also do education, but I think you have to find what you're good at, try different things, and then, work out how you can make a difference on a small level. The ripple is coming. And so, if you tell that woman now that was told in Whole Foods, she's now told 10 other people, it's a ripple effect. So you don't have to change somebody's mind immediately. I mean, that was a perfect sentence. Please just investigate or research vaccines before you inject your child. Become educated. Yeah.
Or even inject yourself during pregnancy. They're doing that now too.
Yeah. I mean, just, do your research. Just planting that seed in people that the next time that they, get to the doctors and it's, okay, we've got 5 vaccines, that they ask some questions. It may not happen immediately, but it's the process. It's getting that going. So
and the energy that you use in that interaction is also really critical, because if the person senses subliminally that they're being attacked, it's not going to come out as well. If there's a way that you can smooth it out and be friendly with it, and almost the feeling that you're being asked and provided something that the person wants,
Yeah, and I'm sure the person went up to her and was just like, "Oh my goodness, you're pregnant! Congratulations! That's so wonderful. What's the baby do? You know, blah blah blah." And so plant the seed.
Not just looking wild-eyed and say, "Research vaccines."
Exactly.
If you don't, I have to kill somebody. You know.
Exactly. So I think that I would say I do think there are a lot of people. I struggle with it too. There are definitely I definitely find myself, okay, I need to get Tahoe as my place, and I'm like, at least twice a year I need to go for a weekend there just to reconfigure my energy, because it is it gets off. I mean, it does. I think there's find your niche, find your people, find where you can be of help. I mean, there are other people that hate talking to people. So, can you create graphics? Can you take the research that you're finding and create graphics and memes? And, can you get on Twitter and share it there? Can you, there's so many different avenues of look at what you excel in. What are you good at? Are you good at talking to people? Do you mind going up to strangers? Do you like going in to talk to politicians? Do you want to, are you good at doing something creatively? Can you draw comics? Can you write? Can you, all of those things are important things. So I think those are, I think that's, I would say, find your thing and run with it.
The other question that's come up a lot is for people within California, if they go the way they want to, and the example of Sweden, for example, where they've outlawed homeschooling, and do you just tell them to try to leave the state, or I mean, what's the advice at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think California has a number of reasons to leave the state.
I know.
Our taxes and the expense of living here is astronomical. I don't think, if I didn't have my kids here and they had to stay here till they're 18 because I'm divorced, I would not be in California. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't. I'm here to fight for the next 8 years. But I think that's part of what made my decision of sort of getting entrenched and doing.
You knew you were going to stay there for a while.
Because I know I have to stay here. So. But do I think that? Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of people leaving California on this issue. I think there are plenty that are
super beautiful state. I mean,
it is, but it's. There are, as I said, there are a lot more things other than the vaccine issue that would give people reason to leave. I definitely, when people say, "Oh, we're moving to California," or "We're thinking of moving to California," I'm like, no.
Yeah, you haven't done your homework right.
Yeah, do a bit more homework and then decide whether you really want to come here.
But in the meantime, that hasn't happened yet, and there's, at least in theory, a chance to turn it around. And we had a guy on the show who was a spokesman for this movement, who founded it, actually, called New California.
Yes. Yep.
Do you know about that?
I do, yes.
And that sounded, totally positive. I don't know whether it has any chance of happening, but the attitude of it was great. Yeah.
No, I mean, New California, the other one's Jackson State. I think it really, there are definitely people in California that are not what is currently California politics. And I think there are people that want to create another state. And split California. And 40 million people in one state is a lot of people. Like it shouldn't, each of our senators has 1 million people that they represent. That's the size of New Hampshire, wow. And New Hampshire has, I think, 40 representatives to represent them. So, it is huge. And I think it is hard for our legislatures to really represent us when you're talking about that size of numbers.
Right. So in the meantime, I guess homeschooling is very attractive for the moment for people who have to stay in the state. It is.
It's tough though, because, a lot of people have to have dual family incomes to live in California to afford it. So I think
I think maybe looking into group homeschooling, if there's enough people that are in harmony with how they want to do it, might be an option, right?
And those have started to proliferate. To me, it's funny, homeschooling. When I first heard of homeschooling, I thought about it, having my kids sit at the kitchen table doing school, and that's certainly not what homeschooling is these days. So, I think it is still an option here. I think there are a lot of parents that realize that the public schools are not the right option for them either.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons besides vaccines about that. I know. Okay, well, it'd be fun to talk some more when we get a chance. And
yes, definitely. And thank you so much for having me on.
We'll stay in touch.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Good luck with the rest of the day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.